Andrew Neil screams at Meghan, "Don't touch your nose on other business" as shock jockey on GB News. Andrew Neil has hit out at shock jockeys on GB News, who he claimed gave the impression we hate Meghan Markle, after cutting links with the startup channel. The former BBC presenter told the Daily Mail he came close to a breakdown during his time with GB News, describing the experience as worse than being on the IRA hit list. Mr. Neil expressed frustration over technical issues, an early launch and the hiring of shock jocks by GB News. He's the titan of British broadcasting, an unflappable presenter who, with 25 years of broadcasting under his belt, stood as the BBC's leading political interviewer with his forensic, fearless grilling of more party leaders than most contestants on the reality TV show Love Island have had dates. He's been on IRA and jihadi hit lists, and is also, as I can attest, a formidable boss. So it comes as a surprise when Andrew Neil starts to cry and confesses to me how he nearly succumbed to mental collapse, broken by his experience at GB News. "I came close to a breakdown," he confesses, tears falling. He commented, "Look at the direction of travel. They bring in these shock jocks in the morning and evening, Mark Dolan and this Patrick Christys. You've already got Dan Wootton." Speaking about GB News coverage, Mr. Neil added, "I do feel angry though about what they've done to a beautiful dream. This was a vision that might have worked. But if you watch the constant themes that come through again and again from the shock jockeys on GB News, the perception is we hate migrants, we hate the NHS, we hate lockdown and we hate Meghan Markle." The former chairman also claimed there were discussions within GB News about putting secret cameras in classrooms to show how left-wing the teachers were. Mr. Neil warned this would get them into hot water for breaking about 5 different laws, including filming minors. Now, Andrew is something of a Marmite figure. People like or loathe him. I was editor of The Scotsman when he was publisher of the group, and there were certainly times I'd have preferred jam on my toast. Nonetheless, he is a media giant, arguably the most talented broadcaster of his generation, who garners respect. He's also funny with a formidable intellect and a generous spirit. To see this thumper, his word, of a man crumble in front of me is deeply saddening. It was terrible," he says as I hug him. He's recalling the moment when, at the end of his first week as much vaunted lead interviewer and chairman of newly launched GB News, he decided he couldn't go on. It followed a series of technical disasters and glitches that had made the station a laughingstock and left him in despair. GB News has since given a flagship show to Nigel Farage, the former Brexit Party leader. It has been criticised for low ratings, with some of its shows attracting zero viewer, according to official audience figures. Mr. Neil spoke about the impact working for the channel had on his mental health. He commented that stress was just huge. It meant you couldn't think about the journalism. You were just constantly wondering, will we make it through the hour? By the end of that first week, I knew I had to get out. It was really beginning to affect my health. I wasn't sleeping. I was waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning. Mr. Neil also argued GB News launched in June before it was fully ready, and regrets not being more vocal in opposing this. He stated, "When I do look back, the one thing I will say is I wish I'd been more publicly demonstrative about not launching on June 13th. It wouldn't have stopped the launch and it wouldn't have stopped the ST show that followed, but I would have been on the record saying, don't do this. It's going to be a disaster." A spokesman for GB News contested Mr. Neil's account of his time with the channel. They said, "At no point did Andrew raise concerns of the editorial direction of GB News moving to the right. As with all companies, decision-making rests with the board, and GB News is no different. As a member of the board, Andrew had the same rights and abilities to raise concerns, and he was privy to all decisions." The launch date of GB News was set to accommodate Andrew's own travel plans. Indeed, contrary to management's wishes, it was Andrew who insisted the launch date be announced, failing which he refused to travel to London for it. At no time did Andrew ask to be executive chairman, and at no point was this offered to him. He was always a non-executive chairman,